Hello and welcome to PA 460, Administration and Public Policy Development. My name is David Kanan, and I am the instructor for the course. I am the chair of the Division of Professional Studies at San Diego State University, Imperial Valley, as well as a faculty member with the School of Public Affairs on main campus. And I'm going to be going through the basic setup for the course. And as you will see, I'm sharing the screen with the Canvas screen. They'll be similar to yours. Of course, I'll be adding this video in later. But on the welcome page, you will see links to everything that matters. That is getting started and then all of the modules. So we'll go to getting started here. And you will see under getting started, you have syllabus. And when you open that, you can download the syllabus. We go back. Yes, Canvas is a little clunky, but it's better than Blackboard. Trust me, if you haven't used Blackboard. I shouldn't say that, I could get sued. I have to be careful. Okay, so about me, you will see here with the terrible picture. And I have a PhD in public policy. And I went to the University of Central Florida in Orlando and received my PhD in 2016. I also have a Master of Public Administration degree from before that. And then way back in the 90s, I have a Bachelor of Science in Arts Management. Yes, I know, it doesn't sound like government. However, I have worked with many different nonprofit organizations, government organizations over the last decade plus. I have research that's been published in public administration journals such as Public Administration Review and several others, as well as ethics journals. And I have other research that looks at public school effectiveness and social disorganization theory, which actually is a criminal justice theory, which is in the process of being published as well. Currently, I am the managing editor for Public Administration Review, a peer-reviewed journal. And I'm also a member of the nonprofit Leadership Alliance. I'm married and live in Imperial Valley, which is just over the mountains from San Diego into the desert. But as you can tell probably by my accent, I was born and raised somewhere else, and that's Ann Arbor, Michigan. And yes, I'm a big Michigan fan. So let's go back again. So you've learned a little about me. So what I would like each of you to do is after you've gone to about your instructor, there's introduce yourself here. And this will also give you a chance to use the discussion feature. So here, basically just come in, you hit reply for any of the discussions, and you can write about yourself, where you're from, what do you do now, what do you hope to do in the future, etc. Try to keep it apolitical. I know we're in the midst of an election. If you want to be super fancy, you can create a video and then attach it here on the bottom. And that would be cool as long as it's respectful, apolitical, and makes sense for the course. You will also see, I'll come back to course overview in a second because it's a lot of material, but you're going to see the link for your ebook right here. And this you will have to purchase yourself, and it'll be separate from the Canvas site. It's not, unfortunately, integrated into the Canvas site. So you can purchase at Red Shelf or Vital Source. There's other places to purchase it as well, but make sure you get the 7th edition because sometimes the chapters and content changes. And so that could hurt you if you're not getting the proper material each module. Canvas resources, if you haven't used it, there's a lot of information here. And the course overview, this is all in the syllabus, of course. And it'll be better for me just showing you. I'll go over this quickly and then I'll actually show you. So each module, and there's 8 for the one for each week, you have a resources section, a learning activities section, and an assessment section. and you will have different categories of things to do within there depending on the week. So every week you will have a discussion, and I'll show you that in a second. The first 3 weeks you will have an exercise, which is a matching assignment going over some topic for the module. And I'll show you an example of that as well. In the second half of our very truncated semester, you will have group project worksheets that you will be working with a group. And I have instructions here on the group homepage function as well as in the discussions themselves. You will notice there's a lot of redundancy with the syllabus, with Canvas, with the assignments themselves as far as instructions, etc. I believe that redundancy can be good and avoid confusion for the students. So assessments, modules 1 through 3, so the first 3 weeks, you will have an assessment due at the end that's a reading quiz. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. For module 4 and 8, those are your exam modules. So you'll have an exam as an assessment for that time. You will see the course learning objectives, and they're the same as what is in the syllabus. And the grading scheme is here as well as in the syllabus. And see how the course material breaks down as far as percentage of your grade. So let's go back. And now I will show you, let's go back to the home page because that's where you'll sign into. And you will see module 1, Introduction to Public Policy. So you click that, it'll get you there. Each module is going to have an overview. So again, this is part of the redundancy, but you can click that. It has your learning objectives for the week, and it has your learning activities for the week. So it's a breakdown of what's in the module. As you will see here, here's resources, learning activities, and assessment. So the resources generally are broken into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Each is associated with 1 chapter in the text. So for example, you'll open the part 1, it's going to have notes on that chapter, which are very important for the quizzes and exams. And the first thing it's going to say with each one of these part 1 and part 2 is, before continuing in this module section, please read chapter 1, Public Policy and Politics, in your ebook. So you go to your ebook, you read it, and then you come back. And there's going to be material in here based on the reading as well as additional material. But this is broken down into basically what would be PowerPoint notes in a traditional lecture course. So you'll have definitions, you'll have graphs, some from the book, some from elsewhere, and you're going to have other videos explaining different topics, which are important. None of them are very long. So you finish that probably in the early part of the week, the part 1. You go to part 2, it's going to say read chapter 2 in your ebook. Then you go here, and this is a breakdown of chapter 2 plus additional material. And you will have some videos thrown in and graphs, etc., pictures, and covering the topics for that module. And I try to avoid just having me lecture. As you can tell right now, it'd be pretty boring if it was just me lecturing every module over and over. So I have lots of different sources. And it's not a matter of agreeing always with these sources, but just being open to the information and different points of view. So now let's actually go back to the module here to give you the example. So now we're looking at learning activities, and each week you're going to have a discussion. With the exception of module 4, week 4, module 4, and week 8, module 8, the discussions will be about a video presentation. So for example, you go to discussion, you watch this, in this case, a TED Talk, And then there's a short essay question. And you answer the short essay question in the reply. You post your reply, and once you post your reply, you'll see other replies from other students, and then you have to respond to one other student and compare and contrast what you wrote. It's not very long, maximum 8 to 10 sentences for your post. It's just so that I get the idea that you understand the topic, that you did watch the video, and to also bridge conversation with your fellow students. You'll see other learning activities. This is market failures. And what this is going to be a matching exercise based on the market failure definitions that are in the module as well as in the text. And you will see things sometimes in the module to make sure to pay attention to, because not always will what's in the text match what I have in the module. Sometimes I will add certain elements to it or streamline certain elements for simplicity's sake, which makes it a little bit different from the text, but I will always give you that within the module. So just, stick to the module, what's there, and you'll be fine. All of the quizzes, exercises are timed. However, they're usually fairly generous in time. As you see here, we're on reading quiz 1, and it'll be on the 2 chapters you read for the module. And yes, it's going to be a lot of reading and material because we have this truncated semester format. But if you set aside the first few days of the week to do the first part and the first reading, and the second day or two to do the second, you'll be fine. If you do go through, do the reading, watch the videos, lectures, all of those things, you'll be fine in this course. So the chapter quiz, here you have 10 questions, and you can reference the ebook for these reading quizzes. The whole point is to make sure that you're opening and reading the material. So you may have a question here that you will go back to your ebook in a separate window, and you can reference the answer. I have no problem with that. The only thing is, if you rely completely on that and don't read it prior, you only have 15 minutes to complete the quiz. So it's best to read it first and then go back if necessary. Otherwise, you may run out of time. Some of you may not. Okay. So module 1, you'll see. Module 2, very similar, just different chapters. Module 3, very similar, just different chapters. Then we get to module 4, and you have your first exam. For every exam, and you'll see there'll be an overview here for module 4, just to give you an example. And for this module, you have exam 1 study guide, which you will download and review. And then the discussion is going to be a bit different because this is the week before you start working in groups. So the discussion here is choose a societal issue and share your experience. Again, it's very short. You just, you choose an issue from there, and I'll show you in a second. And then the exam will be on modules 1 through 4, chapters 1 through 6 only. And the final exam will only be on the second group of chapters. It's not a cumulative exam. So let's see here. So societal issue, you choose a very general topic here, and then you write your post with the experience either you heard of, with you, your friend, whatever. Of course, don't use their names. And then these discussions, like the other discussions, will be due the Thursday evening by midnight. And then after that, you will have until Saturday to comment on someone else's post. The goal of this discussion will be to see where your interests lie, so that when I group you into groups for the second half of the semester, I will have like-minded people working in groups together. So module 5, you'll see we're returning to the format for the first 3 modules. You have a part 1 and part 2, each is with a chapter you'll be reading for the course. The discussion is the same. The difference now, instead of an exercise, you're going to have a group project. And so with these, what I do is I give you the problem statement worksheet, which will be your template to use for the group, and then you fill out the template. And it's not very long. These aren't extremely challenging assignments, but just to make sure that you understand certain concepts and you're able to apply the course material. So from there, each week you'll have a different worksheet. There will be 3. For the third worksheet, it's a little more complicated. It's kind of like your final group project. I give you an example of what I consider a good worksheet, a good final group project. So you can use that and base that for your group. Obviously not the same content, but the same format and structure. So we get to the end and you'll see the exam 2. The discussion in this time is a bit different. You're just going to be reviewing another group project, comparing and contrasting with your own. And that'll actually is an individual assignment. And then the exam 2 study guide, similar to the first exam study guide, you have it to download right here. And generally my rule is if it's not on the study guides, it's not on the exam. So make sure to use those, and yes, you can use them during the exam. I know I'm a pushover a bit here, but they will be helpful. However, you are being timed in the exam, so you don't have a lot of time to go back and forth. And each exam has 2 essay questions, so you'll have to be able to apply the material in a scenario of some sort. So again, if you go through each module and read everything, do the work, review the notes, review the videos, you'll do fine in this course. If you have any questions, you can always ask me and email me. We can set up a phone call, a Zoom, whatever you prefer, or just an email question and I will respond within 24 hours. Generally, I respond fairly quickly. But hopefully you'll enjoy the course, and hopefully you will learn something and find some great group members to work with. And we now can continue into this week's activities and modules. And if you have any questions, let me know.